the same person each session or a different participant for each meeting, to ensure that all members adhere to their pre-approved time to speak and receive attention. Step number 1. Ask for spiritual guidance by delivering an invocation. Ideally, mastermind meetings should start with a request for the group to be filled and surrounded with powerful spiritual energy. Step 2. Share what's new and good. A good way to bond with each other and keep excitement high is to each share a success story. Even small successes achieved since the last meeting give others in the group the feeling that the process is working and is something they need to stay involved with. Step 3. Negotiate for time. Although the normal weekly time allotment might be 10 to 15 minutes per person, there may be times when one participant needs extra time during that week's session to discuss a particularly difficult situation. During the step, they can ask for the amount of extra time they think they'll need. Others in the group may have their own challenges that week and need extra time too. Still others may decide to give up their time entirely, as they do not have anything important to discuss. Using the timekeeper as referee, each member negotiates for the amount of time he or she thinks is needed. Step 4. Individual members speak while the group listens and brainstorms solutions. After the allotted time of explanation, discussion, and brainstorming, the timekeeper says, "Time's up," and the group moves on to the next member's needs. Discussions can be personal or professional. It doesn't matter. As long as all members are getting value, they'll stay involved with the group. As long as you're giving value, everyone will want you to be there. Step 5. Make a commitment to stretch. Once members have each had their time, the timekeeper asks each member in turn to commit verbally to a next action that will move him or her forward toward the achievement of his or her goals, something that the member will agree to accomplish before the next meeting. The commitment needs to be a stretch. This commitment ensures that everyone is continually moving forward toward the completion of their goals, which is the ultimate benefit of a mastermind group. Step 6. End with a moment of gratitude. Your meeting might end with a group prayer expressing gratitude, or you might go around the table with each person saying one thing he or she appreciates about another person in the group. Step 7. Be accountable. When members assemble the very next week, each member shares something related to the goal he set at the previous meeting. Did each member take action? Did they achieve their goal? You'll find one of the real values of a mastermind group is the accountability factor. Other members checking up on you to make sure you meet your stated commitments. People are more productive when they have a stated deadline and are held accountable to it. The reality is that if you know you're going to be asked next week about the commitment you made today, you'll take steps to accomplish it by next week's deadline. It's one way to ensure you'll accomplish a lot more. Principle number 54. Keep your agreements. It used to be that one's word was one's bond. Agreements were made and kept with a minimum of fanfare. People thought carefully about whether they could deliver on their promises before agreeing to anything. It was that important. Today, keeping one's agreement seems to be a hit-or-miss affair. Every agreement you make is with yourself. Every agreement you make is ultimately with yourself. Even when you are making an agreement with someone else, your brain hears it and registers it as a commitment. You are making an agreement with yourself to do something. And when you don't follow through, you learn to distrust yourself. The result is a loss of self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-respect. You lose faith in your ability to produce a result. You weaken your sense of integrity. Here are some tips for making fewer agreements and for keeping the ones you make. Number 1. Make only agreements that you intend to keep. Take a few seconds before making an agreement to see if it is really what you want to do. Check in with yourself. How does your body feel about it? Don't make an agreement just because you are looking for someone's approval. If you do, you'll find yourself breaking those commitments. Number 2, write down all the agreements you make. Use a calendar, daily planning book, notebook, or computer to record all of your agreements. In the course of a week, you might enter into dozens of agreements. One of the big reasons we don't keep our agreements is that with the daily press of all of our activities, we forget many of the agreements that we have made. Write them down, and then review your list every day. A new finding from brain research is that when we don't write something down or make some effort to store it in long-term memory, the memory can be lost in as little as 37 seconds. You may have great intentions, but if you forget to do what you agreed to do, the result is the same as you're choosing not to keep your agreements. Number 3, communicate any broken agreement at the first appropriate time. As soon as you know you are going to have a broken agreement, your car won't start, you are caught in traffic, your child's sick, your babysitter can't make it, or your computer crashes, notify the other person as soon as possible, and then renegotiate the agreement. This demonstrates respect for the other's time and their needs. It also gives them time to reschedule, replan, make other arrangements, and limit any potential damage. If the first appropriate time is after the fact, still let them know that you have a broken agreement. Clean up any consequences and decide whether to recommit to the agreement. Number 4, learn to say no more often. Give yourself time to think it over before making any new agreements. I write the word no in yellow highlighter on all of my calendar pages as a way to remind myself to really consider what else I'll have to give up if I say yes to something new. It makes me pause and think before I add another commitment to my life. If you want to really take it to the max in terms of keeping your commitments to yourself, you can use this technique that my friend Martin Root taught me. Set up consequences, such as writing a large check to a person or an organization that you don't like, or shaving off all of your hair, that are greater than the payoffs, such as the comfort and safety of not having to take a risk, that you get for not keeping your word. The cost of having to deliver on the consequences is too expensive not to follow through on the commitment. Martin used this technique to motivate himself to follow through on his commitment to learn how to dive off a diving board. To make sure that he wouldn't back out of his commitment, he declared to his friends that if he didn't learn how to dive by a certain date, he would write a check for $1,000 to the Ku Klux Klan. Now, being Jewish, Martin was not a big fan of the Klan. Obviously, he didn't want to write that check. That would have been more painful than confronting his fear of diving. So as challenging as it was for him, Martin learned how to dive. What is so important in your life that you don't want to give yourself an out? Make a public declaration of a consequence that you would find painful to pay, and you'll use the power of motivating yourself to take the action that you say you want to take, but that you have been procrastinating on. Success and money. Principle number 56. Develop a positive money consciousness. Like everything else I've discussed in this audiobook, financial success also starts in the mind. You have to first decide what you want. Next, you have to believe it's possible and that you deserve it. Then you must focus on it by thinking about it and visualizing it as if it were already yours. And finally, you have to be willing to pay the price to get it, with disciplined effort and perseverance over time. But most people never get to even the first stages of accumulating wealth. Too often they are limited by their own beliefs about money and by the question of whether or not they deserve it. To become wealthy, you'll need to surface, identify, root out, and replace any negative or limiting beliefs that you may have about money. Though it may seem odd that anyone would have a negative predisposition toward wealth, often we hold these beliefs in our subconscious from childhood. Perhaps when you were young you heard, "Money doesn't grow on trees." There's not enough money to go around. You have to have money to make money. Money is the root of all evil. People with money are evil, bad, and unethical. People with a lot of money are selfish and self-centered. Everyone can't be a millionaire. You can't buy happiness. Rich people only care about money. If you're rich, you can't be spiritual. These messages from early childhood can actually sabotage and dilute your later financial success, because they subconsciously emit a vibration that's contrary to your conscious intentions. What did your parents, grandparents, teachers, Religious leaders, friends, and coworkers teach you about money as you were growing up and as a young adult. 3 steps to turning around your limiting beliefs about money. You can change this early programming using a simple yet powerful 3-step technique that replaces your limiting beliefs with more positive and empowering ones. While this exercise can be done on your own, it's usually more powerful and more fun to do it with a partner or a small group of people. Number 1, write down your limiting belief. Number 2, challenge, make fun of, and argue with the limiting belief. You can do this by brainstorming a list of new beliefs that challenge the old ones. The more outrageous and fun you make them, the more powerful the resulting shift in your consciousness will be. Number 3, create a positive turnaround statement. The last step is to create a new statement that is the opposite of the original belief. You want this turnaround statement to be one that sends shivers of delight through your body when you say it. Once you have it, walk around the room for a few moments repeating the new statement out loud with energy and passion. Repeat this new belief several times a day for a minimum of 30 days, and it will be yours forever. Remember, ideas about financial success never form by themselves. You have to keep thinking the thoughts that build the thought form of prosperity. You have to take time each day and focus on thoughts of prosperity and images of financial success. When you intentionally focus on these thoughts and images, they will eventually crowd out the limiting thoughts and images and begin to dominate your thinking. If you want to accelerate reaching your financial goals, you need to practice saying positive money affirmations every single day. Remember, you can plant any idea into the subconscious mind by repetition of thought infused with a positive expectancy and the emotion associated with already having it. Principle number 57. You get what you focus on. It's been said that in life, you get what you focus on. This rule applies to getting a new job, building a business, winning an award, but most especially to acquiring money, wealth, and a rich lifestyle. You must decide to be wealthy. One of the first requirements of becoming wealthy is to make a conscious decision to do so. If you want wealth too, you must decide now from the deepest place in your heart to have wealth in your life, without worrying yet if it's possible or not. Next, decide what wealthy means to you. Do you know how much wealth you want? Some of my friends want to retire as millionaires, whereas others want to retire with 30 million or even 100 million. 2 friends want to become mega rich because of the philanthropic ability it would give them. But there is no right financial goal to have. But you do have to decide what you want. When creating wealth in your life, remember that there is the life you want to live now and the life you want to live in the future. The life you are currently living is the result of the thoughts you have thought and the actions you have taken in the past. The life you live in the future will be the result of today's thoughts and today's actions. To get the kind of life you want 1 to 2 years from now, as well as the kind of lifestyle you want when you retire, decide exactly how much money you'll need to live the lifestyle of your dreams. If you don't know, research how much it would cost you to do and buy everything you want over the course of the next year. This could include rent or mortgage, food, clothes, medical care, automobiles, utilities, education, vacations, recreation, insurance, savings, investments, and philanthropy. For each category, visualize those items or activities in your life, then write down what you would need to spend to get them. Imagine eating in fine restaurants, driving your dream car, going on your dream vacation, even refurbishing your home or moving into a new one. Don't let your mind tell you that these things are impossible or crazy. For the moment, just do the research and find out exactly what it will cost to fund your dream life, whatever that is. Most people are unconscious when it comes to their money. For instance, do you know your net worth, your total assets minus your total liabilities? Do you know how much money you have in savings? Do you know exactly what your fixed and variable monthly expenses are? Do Do you know the total amount of debt that you are carrying and the amount of money you are spending a year on interest payments? Do you know if you are adequately insured? Do you have a financial plan? Do you have an estate plan? Do you have a will? Is it up to date? If you want to be financially successful, you have to get conscious. Not only do you have to know precisely where you are, but you also need to know exactly where you want to go and what's required to get you there. Step 1. Determine your net worth. If you don't know your net worth, you can work with an accountant or a financial planner to calculate it. You could also join an organization such as the A.u.d.i.o.b.o.k group, a network-marketed financial services organization that consults with average people who want to become financially literate and financially independent. They'll help you determine your net worth and provide other financial services for a lot less than most financial planners charge. Or you can purchase some software, such as Personal Financial Statement, which is available at www.myfinancialsoftware.com. Step 2. Determine what you need to retire. Next, calculate what your financial needs will be when and if you retire. Be aware that retirement by its very nature requires that you be financially independent. A good financial planner can tell you how much in savings and investments would be required to produce enough in interest, dividend, rental, and royalty income to live your current lifestyle without having to work. Financial independence frees you up to pursue your passions, travel, engage in philanthropic endeavors and service projects, or do whatever you wish. Step 3. Become aware of what you're spending. Most people aren't aware of what they really spend in a month. If you've never tracked your expenditures, start by writing down all your normal fixed monthly expenses, such as your mortgage or rent, your car payment, any other installment or loan payments, your insurance bills, cable bill, internet provider, health club, and so on. Then go back over the last 6 to 12 months and calculate average monthly expenditures that fluctuate, such as utilities, phone bills, food bills, clothing expenditures, auto maintenance, medical expenses, and so on. Step 4. Become financially literate. Not only should you stay conscious around money by reviewing your financial goals every day and tracking your spending every month, but I recommend that you also proactively learn about money and investing by reading at least one good financial book every month for the next year. Another way to become financially literate is to seek out professionals who can teach you the money skills you'll need to grow a healthy financial future. You can invest your money in stocks and bonds, which pay you in interest, or you can invest in income-producing real estate, which pays you in positive cash flow from rental income that is greater than your mortgage payments. Principle number 58. Pay yourself first. The world's most aggressive savers make investing money as central a part of their money management as they do paying their mortgage. To get into the habit of saving some money every month, immediately take a predetermined percentage of your paycheck and put it in a savings account that you don't allow yourself to touch. Keep building that account until you've saved enough to move it into a mutual fund or bond account or to invest it in real estate, including the purchase of your own home. The amount of money that is wasted paying rent without building any equity in a home is a tragedy for many people. Investing just 10 or 15% of your income will help you eventually amass a fortune. Pay yourself first and then live on what is left. This will do two things. First, it will force you to start building your fortune. And second, if you still want to buy more or do more, it will force you to find ways to earn more money to afford it. Never dip into your savings to fund your bigger lifestyle. You want your investments to grow to the point that you could live off the interest if necessary. Only then will you be truly financially independent. Dr. John DeMartini is a chiropractor who now conducts seminars for other chiropractors on how to grow themselves personally and their practices financially. He is one of the wealthiest and most abundant people I know, in spirit, friends, and adventure, as well as in money. John told me, "When I first got into practice years ago, I paid everybody first and took whatever was left over. I didn't know any better. Then I noticed that people who had only been working for me less than 6 months were all getting paid on time. I realized that their pay was fixed and mine was variable. That was kind of crazy. The most important person, me, was the one under the stress, while the others had all the stability. I decided to turn that around and pay myself first. I paid my taxes second, my lifestyle budget third, and my bills fourth. I arranged for automatic withdrawals, and they've completely changed my financial situation. I don't waver. If bills pile up and money doesn't come in, I don't stop the withdrawals. My staff is forced to find a way to book more seminars and collect more money. Under the old system, if they didn't book or collect, it was on my back. But now it's the other way around. If they want to get paid, they figure out ways to make more money. The 50-50 law. Another rule John suggests is that you never spend more than you save. John puts 50% of every dollar he earns into savings. If he wants to increase his personal expenditures by $45,000, he first has to earn an additional $90,000. Let's say you want to buy a car for $40,000. If you can't put an extra $40,000 into savings, you don't buy the car. Either buy a cheaper car, make do with what you have right now, or go out and make more money. The key is that you don't raise your lifestyle until you've earned the right to raise it by putting the same amount into savings. If you do raise your savings by $40,000, you know you've earned the right to raise your lifestyle by that same amount. The 50-50 law will get you rich very quickly. It was the core of billionaire Sir John Marks Templeton's strategy for building wealth. Don't tell me you can't do it. Most people wait to start saving until they have some extra money lying around, a comfortable surplus. But it doesn't work like that. You have to start saving and investing for the future now. And the more you invest, the sooner you will reach financial independence. Sir John Marks Templeton started out working for $150 a week as a stockbroker. He and his wife, Judith Folk, decided to invest 50% of their income in the stock market while still making tithing a priority. That left the two of them only 40% of his income to live on. But today, John Templeton is a billionaire. He has kept the practice up his whole life and now gives away $10 for every dollar he spends to individuals and organizations that support spiritual growth. You no doubt read or heard about Osceola McCarty of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, who had to drop out of school in the 6th grade to take care of her family, and spent some 75 years of her life washing and ironing other people's clothes. She lived a frugal life and saved what she could from the little money she made. In 1995, she donated $150,000, the bulk of her $250,000 life savings, to the University of Southern Mississippi to provide scholarships for needy students. And here's the interesting part. Had Osceola invested her savings, which is estimated to have been about $50,000 in 1965, in an S&P 500 index fund, which earns an average of 10.5% a year, her money would have grown to not $250,000, but $999,628, virtually $1 million, 4 times as much. How to become an automatic millionaire? The simplest way to implement the Pay Yourself First plan is to have a plan that is totally automatic. That is, set up so a percentage of your paycheck is automatically deducted and invested as you direct. Financial planners will tell you, from their extensive experience with hundreds of clients, that very few, if any, follow through with a plan to pay themselves first if it's not automatic. If you're an employee, check with your company to see if they have self-directed retirement accounts such as 401(k) plans. You can arrange for the company to automatically deduct your contribution to the plan from your paycheck. If it's deducted before you receive your check, you'll never miss it. More important, you won't have to think about your investments. You won't have to exercise self-discipline. It doesn't depend on your mood swings, household emergencies, or anything else. You make the commitment once and it's a done deal. Another advantage of these kinds of plans is that they are free of most taxes until you withdraw the money. So instead of having 70 cents working for you, you have an entire dollar working for you, compounding year after year. Some companies will even match a portion of your contribution. If you work for such a company, get on board now. Check with the Employee Benefits Office of your company and find out how to sign up. When you do, make sure to make the largest percentage contribution you are allowed by law, but at least 10%. If you absolutely cannot bring yourself to do 10%, then do the largest percentage you can. After a few months, reassess and then see if you can't increase it. Get creative about where you can cut costs and how you can increase your income through some other source. If you don't have a company retirement plan, you can open an individual retirement account, an IRA, at a bank or a brokerage firm. With an IRA, you make a financial contribution of up to $3,000 a year, $3,500 if you're 50 or older. Ask the bank, the brokerage firm, or a financial advisor to help you decide if you want a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. The paperwork to start an IRA takes about the same amount of time as opening a checking account. And to keep it automatic, you can arrange for an automatic deduction from your checking account. As your money begins to grow, you'll want to educate yourself further about the best way to invest your money. Eventually, you'll probably want to find a good financial advisor. The way I found mine was to ask successful friends who they had used, and then listen for the same name to come up more than once or twice. And that's exactly what happened. If you don't have friends who are using a financial advisor, or you don't get anyone that several people agree on, a good place to go for more information on how to pick a financial advisor is www.finishRich.com. Click on the Find a Financial Advisor button under the Resources section on the website. There is a wealth of information there that can help you. Protect what is yours with insurance. It's a sad reality today that many wealthy people are targets of frivolous lawsuits, claims, and other complaints, often for no legitimate reason. Additionally, mistakes and accidents can always occur, which is why it's important to protect your financial assets through a good insurance policy. This is even more important if you operate a small business. Locate a good insurance broker the same way you would find a financial planner or asset management company. Protect what's yours with a prenuptial or cohabitation agreement. If you're getting married later in life or bringing a lot of assets to the marriage, most financial advisors will tell you to get a prenuptial agreement. I know it may feel like you're introducing a negative matter to an experience that should be one of love and bliss, but these days, such agreements have become almost a necessity. I have watched way too many people, both men and women, lose what rightfully should have been theirs because they were afraid to get a prenuptial agreement. When I got remarried, my wife-to-be was more than willing to get a prenuptial agreement. She said, "I don't want to ever take away from you what you rightfully owned when we came together. You've worked hard for what you have, and I want you to feel safe knowing that it's still yours if we don't make it." It's exactly that attitude that lets me know we will make it, because she loves me and not my money. I admire that she is a level-headed, rational person who is not out to take advantage of me or my company. If you can't talk openly about a prenuptial agreement, you probably aren't going to be able to talk openly about other difficult emotional issues when they come up. That does not bode well for the quality or the longevity of the relationship. Find a good marriage counselor and a couple of good lawyers whose prenuptial agreements have stood up in court, and work out an agreement you both feel good about. It can be a very clarifying personal growth experience for both of you. Principle number 60. To spend more, first make more. The first step to making more money is to decide how much more you want to make. I've talked extensively about using the power of affirmations and visualization to see yourself as already in the possession of that money. Not surprisingly, story after story exists in the world about super-rich individuals who have used these daily habits to bring more abundance into their lives. The second step is to ask yourself, what product, service, or additional value can I deliver to generate that money? What does the world, your employer, your community, fellow business people, fellow students, or your customers need that you could provide? Finally, the third step is simply to develop and deliver that product, service, or extra value. Many of the most successful people throughout history have identified a need in the marketplace and provided the solution for it. Yet most of us have never asked what's needed, or even what's possible. If your dream is to earn more money, either with your own business or in addition to your job, identify a need that isn't being met and determine how to meet it. Whether it's starting a website for a particular group of collectors, providing a unique education for people who need rare or unusual skills, or developing new products or services to address emerging trends you see in society, there are always needs you can find to create a business or a service around. Many of these former met needs are inventions and services we now take for granted. But the fact remains that people discovered something they needed in their own life or stumbled on the needs of others and then created the gadgets and services that we now enjoy today. The baby jogger was invented by a man who wanted to go jogging but had childcare responsibilities. What he created for himself was soon in demand by nearly everyone who saw it. eBay, the world's largest online auction service, was born in 1995 when founder Pierre Omidyar engineered a way to help his fiancée trade Pez candy dispensers. Avon decided that its direct selling approach was ideal for the newly emerging Russian democracy, where Avon representatives could not only act as personal beauty consultants to Russian women who were unaccustomed to wearing cosmetics, but could also serve as delivery outlets at a time when retail infrastructures were practically non-existent. Internet dating services were invented when smart entrepreneurs matched the desires and the busy schedules of single people with the computer technology that was sitting in front of them 8 to 12 hours a day. What need could you identify? Need is literally everywhere you look. It doesn't matter whether you're a college student seeking a summer income, a housewife wanting to earn an extra $500 a month to make ends meet, or an entrepreneur looking for the next big business opportunity. There is always a need that could be your opportunity to make some serious money. In the 1980s, Mike Milliorn was a salesman for a label company who needed to make a few more dollars a month. One of his biggest customers was the TGI Fridays restaurant chain, a sophisticated operation looking for a fail-safe way to mark their stock and ensure that employees use the oldest perishable foods first, a process called food rotation. Before meeting Mike, they used masking tape and markers, or they bought colored dots at an office supply store and posted a chart on the wall that said, "Red dot equals Wednesday." Their biggest problem? The adhesive didn't stick in their walk-in coolers. So Mike invented day dots for food rotation, a fail-proof system of colored dots with the day of the week imprinted right on the cold temperature label. He realized that if TGI Fridays needed the dots, other restaurants probably needed them too. He began marketing day dots to as many restaurants as he could economically afford to reach. Like most people with a new idea, Mike kept his day job. With 3 kids, a mortgage, and 2 car payments, it was too big of a risk to quit and devote full time to day dots. He said, "I had zero money, so I had to figure out how to take my idea to market economically without quitting my job." That's where the mail order idea came up. Mike produced a simple one-page flyer that explained the day dot system and financed it with a $6,000 loan against his wife's Chevy station wagon, and then mailed it to the handful of restaurants for which he could afford the postage. He got just enough orders from that first mailing to encourage him to do another mailing, then another. For 4 years, he and his wife kept their day jobs and worked out of their house. Today, Mike's company mails 3 million catalogs a year and prints over 100 million day dots a week. Mike saw a need, and with the help of his wife, kids, and employees, he worked diligently to fill it. Day Dots has even evolved into a manufacturer and distributor of food safety products, as well as cold temperature, dissolvable, and super removable dots and labels. 13 years later, Mike was approached by a $4 billion Fortune 500 company which purchased Day Dots for tens of millions of dollars. What started out as a simple enterprise to earn a few extra dollars to just get his kids through school ended up earning Mike enough to do all that and more. Mike Miliorn noticed a need and found a creative, economical way to fill it. In the early 1990s, Linda and Ira Distenfield began looking for the next adventure in their lives. They'd been successful in civil service jobs, but wanted to make a change. And after looking at the marketplace, at all the products and services available, the one service they couldn't find was budget-priced legal work. It was no wonder they couldn't find it. In those days, attorneys still had the upper hand and charged thousands of dollars for simple documents that might take just a few minutes to produce. A typical bankruptcy costs $1,500, and a simple divorce might run as high as $2,000 to $5,000. But what about a service, the Distenfields thought, where everyday folks could get help with simple legal forms for $399 or less? What about a service that would demystify the legal process and explain a customer's options in everyday non-legal language? In a small storefront in Santa Barbara, the Distenfields began doing just that. Their company, We the People, was born. Today, the husband and wife team have more than 150 offices in 30 states and have served more than 500,000 customers in the last 10 years, with as many as 60 different kinds of legal services, all at prices that won't break the bank. Now that's definitely finding a need and filling it. But perhaps the most telling proof that they found a need and filled it is the story of one satisfied customer in New York who raved about We the People to New York City's former corporation counsel, Michael Hess. Within days, Hess had checked them out and passed along his findings to former New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani. As a former U.S. attorney himself, Mayor Giuliani was intrigued by a people-oriented legal service that simplifies the process and charges lower fees. Today, he's a partner in We the People, bringing tremendous credibility to the Distenfields' dream and the industry they created. We the People has become so successful, in fact, that a major corporate powerhouse recently contacted the couple about buying them out and taking We the People to the next level. The Distenfields' commitment to providing an affordable service to their community has now paid them back handsomely. The possibilities are endless. Do you see a similar need in your life? What about a longing or aspiration in the lives of others around you? Is there something that needs to be provided, solved, addressed, or eliminated? Is there something you find annoying that could be alleviated if there were some gadget or service to solve that particular problem? Do you share a common goal or ambition with others in your industry or social circle that you could achieve if only someone gave you a system or process for achieving it? Do you enjoy certain activities that could be made even more enjoyable with a new invention or service? Look at your own life and ask what is missing that would make it easier or more fulfilling. Also, think outside the box. When Dave Liniger, founder and CEO of RE/MAX, was a successful young real estate agent, like everyone else, he grumbled about paying 50% of his commissions to the broker whose office he worked in. Experienced and an out-of-the-box thinker, he began to look for an alternative, a better way to sell homes and keep more of what he earned at the same time. Not long after, Dave happened upon a simple, independent, rent-a-desk real estate office that for $500 a month provided a desk, a receptionist, and limited other services to real estate agents who were experienced enough to find their own customers and do their own marketing. Like Dave, these agents didn't need the backing of a big-name entity to be successful. But unlike more professionally managed real estate brokerages, the rent-a-desk idea didn't offer outstanding management, a large brand name, lots of offices, and the ability to share expenses across thousands of agents. Why not create a hybrid, Dave mused. Why not create a firm that offers more independence to agents, that lets them keep more than 50% of their sales commission, but still provides more support than going it alone? Real Estate Maximums, RE/MAX for short, was born. And since its inception in 1973, because of Dave's commitment to the vision and his dogged determination not to give up during the very challenging first 5 years, RE/MAX has become the fastest-growing, largest network of real estate agents in the world, with more than 92,000 agents in 50 countries who share overhead, enjoy expense control, and are part of a bigger entity but who also remain independent enough to determine their own advertising budgets and decide how much of their income they want to keep after their expenses. Because Linegar's out-of-the-box idea was backed up with hard work, perseverance, and passion, and because it met a need for thousands of real estate agents, the dream has grown into an almost billion-dollar-a-year business. How far might you go if you were willing to do some out-of-the-box thinking? In July of 2001, Shane Lewis, a medical student in Virginia, decided to create an internet business to cover the cost of supporting his family while he was attending medical school at George Washington University. With the help of storesonline.com, he looked around for a product he could market and found a rapid urine drug test that parents and others could use to administer drug tests with immediate results. He is making well over $100,000 a year from this and 2 other drug and alcohol testing products. He told me, "My first month I only had a few orders, but by the 3rd month we were doing really well, and it exceeded my initial goals. Today, we earn enough for my wife to stay home with our children while I attend school. Thanks to our internet business, we are virtually debt-free and no longer have to rely on student loans to make ends meet." Money flows to value. Wherever you decide to put your energies, the key is to become more valuable to your current employer, customers, or clients. You do that by getting better at solving their problems, delivering products, and adding services that they want and need. You may need to get more training, develop new skills, create more relationships, or put in extra time. But the responsibility for getting better at what you do and how you do it is totally yours. Always seek out opportunities for more training and self-development. If you need an advanced degree or some kind of certification to move up in your chosen trade or profession, quit talking about it and go get it. Create multiple sources of income. The best way to enjoy greater income and develop economic security in your life is to create several sources of income. This protects you from any one of those sources, usually your job, from drying up and leaving you without any cash flow. I have always had several sources of income. Even when I was a therapist in private practice, I also gave speeches, ran workshops for educators, and wrote magazine articles and books. You too can find all kinds of additional ways to make money if you merely start looking for them. You can work up from simple ways such as hauling trash with your truck on the weekends, tutoring someone, or giving music lessons, to investing in rental properties, consulting, or marketing on the internet. An important distinction. When you are building multiple sources of income, do your best to focus on creating businesses that require very little time and money to start and operate. Your ultimate goal is to set things up so that you're free to work when and where you want, or to take time off to pursue leisure. Too many scattered streams of income mean that you run the risk of losing your main source of income. And remember to apply everything you have learned so far to creating multiple sources of income. Make it part of your vision and your goals. Visualize and affirm that you are making money from your multiple income sources. And start reading books and articles about it, and talking with your friends about it. You will start attracting all kinds of opportunities and ideas. Then, just act on the ones that feel most right for you. Success starts now. Principle number 63. Start now. Just do it. There is no perfect time to start. Now, if you're into astrology and you want to contact your astrologer about an auspicious date to get married, open your store, launch a new product line, or begin a concert tour, okay, that's fine. I can understand that. But everything else, the best strategy is to just jump in and get started. Don't keep putting things off, waiting for 12 doves to fly over your house in the sign of a cross before you begin. Just start. You want to be a public speaker? Fine. Schedule a free talk for a local service club, school, or church group. Just having a date will put the pressure on you to start researching and writing your speech. If that's too big of a stretch, then join Toastmasters or take a speech class. You want to be in the restaurant business? Go get a job in a restaurant and start learning the business. You want to be a chef? Great. Enroll in a cooking school. Take action and get started today. You do not have to know everything to get going. Just get into the game. You will learn by doing. Now don't get me wrong here. I am a big proponent of education, training, and skill building. If you need more training, then go and get it. Sign up for that class or that seminar now. You may need a coach or a mentor to get where you want to go. If so, then go get one. If you're afraid, so what? Feel the fear and do it anyway. The key is to just get started. Quit waiting until you are perfectly ready. You never will be. Most of life is on-the-job training. Some of the most important things can only be learned in the process of doing them. You do something and you get feedback about what works and what doesn't. If you don't do anything for fear of doing it wrong, poorly, or badly, you never get any feedback, and therefore you never get to improve. How to get started. The key to success is to take what you have learned or relearned in this audiobook and put it into action. You can't do everything at once, but you can begin. We have covered 43 principles in this audiobook. If you're not careful, that could feel a bit overwhelming to you. So here is all you have to do. Go back to the beginning and start working through each principle one at a time in the order they are presented. Take 100% responsibility for your life and your success. Clarify your life purpose. Decide what you want. Set specific and measurable goals for all the parts of your personal vision. Break them down into specific action steps you can take. Create affirmations for each one of your goals and begin the practice of visualizing your completed goals every day. If you're smart, you'll also enroll someone to be your accountability partner, or you'll start a mastermind group to do these first steps with you. Then begin taking action on your most important goals every day except your R&R days. Pay the price by doing whatever it takes. Ask for whatever you need with no fear of rejection. Ask for and respond to feedback. Commit to never-ending improvement, and persist in the face of whatever obstacles may come up. Now you're up and running toward the completion of your major goals. Next, to build and maintain momentum, create a program for cleaning up your incompletes, work on transforming your limiting beliefs, pick a habit to work on developing for the next quarter, commit to reading one of the books in the suggested reading and additional resources for success, and then another, and purchase a motivational audio program to listen to in your car or when you are exercising. Then schedule a vacation with your spouse or some friends, and enroll in a personal development seminar to be completed sometime in the next 6 months. Start saying no to the people and things that distract you from your major goals, and find a mentor or hire a coach to advise you and keep you on track. Finally, work on developing your money consciousness. Make sure you set up a procedure for automatically investing 10% or more of every paycheck in an investment account, and some portion of your time and money to your religious or favorite nonprofit organization. Analyze and cut back on your spending, and begin figuring out how to make a fortune rather than a living by becoming more valuable to your employer or your clients. Remember, you can't do everything at once, but if you keep adding a little progress every day, over time you will have built a whole new set of habits and self-disciplines. Remember, anything valuable takes time. There are no overnight successes. It took me years to learn and implement all of the principles I've been sharing with you in this audiobook. I have mastered some and am still working on mastering others. Though it will take you some time, it shouldn't have to take you as long as it took me. I had to discover all of these principles on my own over a period of many years and from many different sources. Today I'm passing them all on to you in one large package. Take advantage of my having gone before and blazed a trail for you. Everything you need is here to take you to the next level. Granted, there are things you'll need to learn that are unique to your specific situation, profession, career, and goals that are not covered in this audiobook, but the fundamental principles needed to succeed in any venture have been covered throughout the preceding chapters. Make the commitment to start now and get on with using them to create the life of your dreams. Scientist, inventor, and philosopher Buckminster Fuller talked about the processional effects that issue from just getting started in the service of humanity. Fuller explained procession by pointing out that the honeybee's seemingly primary objective is to obtain nectar to make honey, but while going after the nectar, the honeybee is unwittingly involved in a much bigger purpose. As it flies from flower to flower in search of more nectar, it picks up pollen on its wings and thus ends up cross-pollinating all of the rooted botanicals in the world. It's an unintended byproduct of the bee's nectar-seeking activity. Think of yourself as a speedboat moving through the water. To the sides of you and behind you is a wake of activity caused by the sheer force of your forward motion. Life is like that too. As long as you are actively in motion in the pursuit of your goals, you will create processional effects that will turn out to be far more important than you initially were capable of understanding or intending. You just begin, and the path of opportunities just keeps unfolding in front of you and to the side of you. None of the wealthy and successful people I know, both my closest friends and the more than 70 people I interviewed for this book, could have possibly planned or predicted the exact sequence of events that unfolded over the course of their lives. They all started with a dream and a plan, but once they started, things unfolded in unexpected ways. Look at my own example. Mark Victor Hansen and I never predicted that Chicken Soup for the Soul, the title of our first book, would evolve into a brand name and would become a household phrase in North America and numerous other countries around the globe. Nor could we have predicted that we would have a line of chicken soup for the pet lover's soul dog and cat foods, a line of greeting cards, a television show, a syndicated column, or a syndicated radio show. All of these things just evolved out of our initial commitment to write a book and be of service. When Dave Liniger decided to leave the biggest real estate agency in Denver and start his own agency, he had no idea that 30 years later his company, RE/MAX, would become the largest real estate agency in the United States, a billion-dollar business with 92,000 agents in 50 countries around the world. When Donald Trump built his first building, he wasn't aware that he would eventually own casinos, golf courses, a resort, the Miss USA contest, and the #1 reality show on American television. He just knew he wanted to build magnificent buildings. The rest unfolded along the way. Carl Karcher started with a rolling hot dog stand in downtown Los Angeles. As he made a little money, he bought another one and then another one until he could buy a real restaurant. That one restaurant evolved into Carl's Jr. When Paul Arfelia started out with a single copy shop to serve local college students, little did he know it would evolve into a chain of over 1,800 Kinko stores and net him $116 million when he later sold it. All of these people may have had a set of goals and a detailed plan as best they could conceive it at the time, but each new success opened up new unforeseen possibilities. If you just aim in the direction you want to go, start and keep moving forward, all kinds of unforeseen opportunities will grow out of that forward motion. An Olympic dream turns into a professional speaking career. When Ruben Gonzalez finally realized his dream of competing in the Winter Olympics for the third time, he returned home to Texas, where his 11-year-old neighbor reminded him of his promise to be his show-and-tell story at the local elementary school. After Ruben regaled Will's 5th grade class with the tales of his struggles to achieve his Olympic dream, Will's teacher asked Ruben if he would be willing to address an assembly of the whole school. So Ruben stayed for another hour and talked to all 200 kids. At the end of his talk, several teachers told him that they often hired speakers to come speak to the kids, and he was easily better than anyone they had previously hired. They told him that he had a natural gift as a speaker. Encouraged by this feedback, Ruben began calling up other schools in the Houston area and soon had so many bookings that he quit his job as a copier salesman. Everything went well until June, when to Ruben's surprise, school let out for the summer and there were no more speaking engagements until the fall. Spurred on by the need to feed himself and his wife, Ruben began calling up local businesses. Little by little, he established a toehold in the corporate world around Dallas. And as word grew about his incredibly motivational talks, Ruben's career took off. Just under 2 years later, Ruben made as much money in the first 2 months of the year as he had made all year in his previous job as a copier salesman. Placing 35th in the world in luge, a sport most people had never heard of, was a step toward a career as a world-class speaker. But it was not something he was planning when he was plummeting down the ice track at 90 miles an hour at the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Lake Placid, New York. It was one of those processional effects that Buckminster Fuller was talking about. Go get started. I have done my best to give you the principles and the tools you need to go and make all of your dreams come true. They have worked for me and for countless others, and they can work for you as well. But this is where the information, motivation, and inspiration stop, and the perspiration, provided by you, begins. You and you alone are responsible for taking the actions to create the life of your dreams. Nobody else can do it for you. You have all of the talent and the resources you need to start right now and eventually create anything you want. I know you can do it. You know you can do it. So go out there and do it. It's a lot of fun as well as a lot of hard work. So remember to enjoy the journey. Principle number 64. Empower yourself by empowering others. I want to encourage you to listen to this audiobook over and over several times. You will discover that with each re-listening, you will not only reinforce what you already know, but you will also discover something new, some concept that perhaps didn't register during the first time through. It takes a while to absorb and assimilate all of these new ideas. Give yourself that time. I also want to suggest you give several copies of this program to your teenage and college-age children, to your employees, team members, and managers. You'll be amazed at how radically you can change a family, a team, or a business simply by having everyone using the same principles at the same time. The greatest gift you can give anyone is a gift of empowerment and love. What could be more loving than helping people you care about get free from their limiting beliefs and ignorance about success, and empowering them to create the life that they truly want from the depths of their soul? So many Americans currently live in a state of resignation or despair. It is time to turn that around. We all have the power within us to create the life we want, the life we dream about, the life we were born to live. We all deserve to fulfill our potential and manifest our true destiny. It is our birthright, but it must be claimed. It must be earned through hard work, and part of that work is first learning and then living by the time-tested and ageless principles that are guaranteed to bring about our desired results. Most of us did not learn these principles in school or at church, and only a few of us learned them at home. They have been passed down from person to person by mentors, teachers, coaches, and more recently in books, seminars, and audio programs. Now you have the core of those principles in your hands. First, use them to liberate your own life and the lives of those whom you care about most, and those whose activities most impact your life. What if all members of your family gave up complaining, took full responsibility for themselves and their lives, and started creating the lives of their dreams? What if all the employees in your company practiced these principles? What if all members of your softball team approached life this way? What if all the high school students in the United States knew these principles and put them into practice in class, on the playing field, and in their social lives? What if all men and women in prison were to learn these valuable principles before they were released back into society? It would be a very different world. People would take 100% responsibility for their lives and the results they produce or don't produce. They would be clear about their visions and their goals. Nobody would fall victim to the criticism and abuse of others. Everyone would persevere in the face of hardship and challenge. Men and women would band together in teams to support each other to become all that they could be. People would ask for what they need and want, and feel free to say no to the requests of others when it is not right for them to respond with a yes. People would stop whining and complaining and get on with creating the life that they want. People would tell the truth and listen to each other with compassion because they know that peace, joy, and prosperity flourish when they do. In short, the world would work. The greatest contribution you can make to the world is to grow in self-awareness, self-realization, and the power to manifest your own heartfelt dreams and desires. The next greatest thing you can do is to help others do the same. What a wonderful world it would be if we were all to do that. It is my intention that this book would contribute to creating that kind of world. If it does, I will have fulfilled my purpose of inspiring and empowering others to live their highest vision in a context of love and joy. One of the most powerful ways to learn anything is to teach it to others. It forces you to clarify your ideas, confront inconsistencies in your own thinking, and more closely walk your talk. But most importantly, it requires you to read, study, and speak the information over and over again. The resulting repetition reinforces your own learning. One of the great benefits to me of researching and teaching the principles of success is that I am constantly reminding myself about the principles and how important it is to use them. As my staff members read the chapters of this audiobook as I finished writing them, it helped all of us recommit to the ones we were not fully using. And whenever I conduct seminars around the country, I find that I become more diligent in implementing the principles in my own life. Think about whom you might teach these principles to. Could you teach a seminar at your church? Offer a class at the local high school or community college? Teach a seminar at work? Facilitate a 6-week study group that meets once a week over lunch? Lead a discussion group with your own family? If you would like to, you can go to the website www.thesuccessprinciples.com and download a free study guide for teaching the basic principles in this audiobook to others. Though you'll definitely be helping others you teach, you'll be helping yourself even more. You don't have to be a master of these principles to lead a discussion group. You just have to be willing to facilitate a discussion of the principles. The study guide will tell you everything you need to say and do to lead a productive discussion and help people implement the principles at work, at school, and at home. Imagine a family, group, club, religious group, office sales team, or a company where the people were all working together to support each other in actively living these principles. The results would be miraculous. And you could be the person who makes that happen. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? When you lift up others, they will lift up you. And here's another major benefit. The more you help other people succeed in life, the more they will want to help you succeed. You might wonder why all the people who teach success strategies are so successful. It's because they have helped so many people get what they want. People naturally support those who have supported them. The same will be true for you. One of my spiritual teachers once taught me to be a student to those above me, a teacher to those below me, and a fellow traveler and a helpmate to those on the same level. That's good advice for all of us. Help us start a movement. I envision a world where all people are inspired to believe in themselves and their abilities and are empowered to reach their full potential and realize all their dreams. I want these principles taught in every school and university and practiced in every small business and large corporation. I have trained other trainers and speakers, developed curricula for schools, created video-based training programs for welfare programs and corporations, written books, created audio and video programs, conducted seminars and online courses, and developed coaching and telecoaching programs for the general public. I've created a syndicated column, helped produce a television series, and appeared on countless radio and television programs sharing these ideas with others. I'd love to have you join me in spreading the word. If you'd like to be part of the Success Principles team, visit the website www.thesuccess. Syndicated column, helped produce a television series, and appeared on countless radio and television programs sharing these ideas with others. I'd love to have you join me in spreading the word. If you'd like to be part of the Success Principles team, visit the website www.thesuccessprinciples.com, register by clicking on the Success Principles team link, and we'll let you know how you can join us in reaching and teaching others. I look forward to working together with you to create high levels of achievement in your life and the lives of the people that matter most to you. Let's work together to create a world that works for everyone. Thank you for listening, and may all your dreams come true.
We hope you've enjoyed this program from Harper Audio.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.